Well, hello everybody. Happy Valentine's Day and welcome to Talking Retrofit with Clade9, presented by Fluence. This is our first webinar of 2024, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have you with us here today. By now, growers understand the many benefits of retrofitting their facility from HPS to LED. While the desire to make the switch is ever present, there is real concern that either the timing isn't right, the process is going to be too disruptive, it's too expensive, or the return on investment is just too slow. In today's webinar, we intend to dispel these myths by demonstrating real-world examples of customers employing proper strategies that can also help you improve your bottom line and the financial performance of your business. Presenting for us today are Fluence's Horticulture Service Specialist, Taylor Kirk, and our Director of Technical Services, Chris Bezoyan. Chris leads the application engineering and rebate services team with Fluence. Prior to joining the team in 2020, Chris worked in various design and application engineering roles within the lighting controls and power electronics industries. Chris and his team works closely with operators throughout CEA to develop and successfully implement effective horticulture lighting solutions. Our second presenter today, Taylor Kirk, is one of Fluence's horticulture service specialists. Taylor and his team provide expert cultivation advice to Fluence's cannabis growing partners and collaborates with researchers and other cannabis industry leaders worldwide. Taylor is also the founder of 4K Farm, a licensed hemp producer out of Giddings, Texas, and is the vice president and was the director of cultivation at Texas Original Compassionate Cultivation. Taylor actually helped make a little bit of Texas history by planting the first legal seeds under Texas's compassionate use program and helped establish the strategic research partnership between Fluence and Texas Original. With their combined 30 plus years of experience, Taylor and Chris will be providing their insights and strategies for retrofitting by breaking down the process into simple steps that are affordable, easy to execute, and that deliver the fastest ROI. Also with us today as a special guest is Dave Holmes. Dave is CEO and co-founder of Clade9, a craft cannabis cultivator out of Los Angeles, California. Dave will share his experience of retrofitting several of his grow rooms to LED and how that change has positively impacted his operations at the Los Angeles facility. David is currently retrofitting even more of his facility and can share some real-time experience from his efforts. Thanks for joining us, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. Chris, Taylor, Dave, thanks again for your time today. Before I turn it over to Chris, I would like to invite everybody who's watching at home to please submit their questions using the Q&A function that should be at the top of your screen. Now I'll turn it over to Chris, who will start us off by highlighting some of the grower concerns when considering a retrofit. Chris.
Thanks, Tim. Welcome, everyone. It is great to be here with you today to discuss a topic that I'm enthusiastic about, retrofitting to LEDs. It's so appropriate that we're talking about that on Valentine's Day. Love your grow.
Nice.
I've witnessed firsthand the benefits accomplished by growers who implement LED technology in their facilities. However, there are legitimate concerns I've heard from growers who use HPS or HID and are considering retrofitting to LED horticulture technology. How many of you have ever wondered about or even said these things on your screen out loud? This webinar will address these concerns. We'll also show you the photobiological benefits and potential energy savings you may see when you retrofit to LED lighting. We all know that light is an important factor in cultivation. It is certainly not the only factor contributing to plant performance, but lighting is a key factor. At Fluence, we have an entire research team dedicated to studying and optimizing the interactions between lighting and the plant performance factors shown here. It is important to remember if lighting is improved or increased, all other factors must also be optimized. So let's talk about how lighting affects your crop from a research point of view. Our research and our field experience has demonstrated light intensities of 1100 to 1500 micromole ppfd is the sweet spot for cannabis cultivation, where every photon delivered to the crop has significant impact. Naturally, all other factors shown in my previous slide play their part as well. If those are dialed in, you will be able to apply our rule of thumb 1% more light will provide 1% more yield. Okay, so let's talk about the LED product solutions Fluence typically uses to retrofit from HPS to LED, Raptor and Viper. Fluence's lighting solutions easily install and often do not require electrical modifications of your facility. They're also easily integrated with most climate control systems. Fluence's lighting solutions are all DLC listed. We'll talk about this a bit later, but this means they are eligible for utility incentive rebates. Okay, so here's where some of the research data gets thick. Let's discuss wattage match retrofits. This is when you remove a 1000 watt HPS light, for example, and install a 1000 watt LED. The graph shown demonstrates the bud dry weight yield improvement between HPS and LED technology. The bottom of the graph identifies the lighting technology. The numbers along the top of the graph are the light intensity differences. For each of these data points shown, growers who converted a room to LED experienced increased dry weight yields. They replaced their HPS light with similar wattage LED. When this type of retrofit is performed, the light levels in the flower room will increase because of the higher efficiency lighting technology. As we just discussed, increased light level on your crop canopy will give you more yield. Here's another interesting thing. Growers have reported improved quality because LEDs can be designed to deliver plant-centric spectrums. Fluence has developed light spectrums that, in some cases, can even boost potency by 2%. LEDs will typically pay for themselves within 2 flowering cycles. We're going to dig deep into a grower testimonial shortly with Taylor and Dave, but before we do, I'm going to take the next few minutes to review an example of a flower room that was converted to LED and discuss the CapEx ROI of this example. You can see here that we're comparing a flower room that is 30 foot by 70 foot with a cultivation canopy area of 1,500 square feet. You can see the light fixture layout and position is identical before and after retrofit. However, you'll also observe the average light level, or PPFD, in the room is significantly brighter. I've highlighted that on your screen for you. Again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we know this is going to increase our yield. So let's look at some return on investment calculations. I've highlighted some key takeaways with the arrows on the right. You can see I'm comparing identical room and identical canopy size. For the sake of example, I've shown Viper and Raptor solutions. Viper will generally require more fixtures than Raptor because it's a lower wattage fixture. I've also highlighted the total power consumption for this room a bit lower in the table. Now look up a couple of rows at the increase in PPF under LEDs. For the same total power consumption of this room, the light levels are significantly higher. There's approximately 40% more light in this room. The electrical consumption did not change because we're doing a wattage match retrofit. Therefore, we're consuming the same amount of electricity. And because of that, the annual electrical cost remains the same. This is important to note. The OpEx cost for this flower room remains the same. And so, as I've said already a few times, based on the increase in light level, the yield goes up. As you know, you can expect 1% increase in yield for every 1% light increase. All right, so let's assume a price per pound of $1,000 for ease of calculation. At that pricing, you can see the increased annual revenue for this room highlighted in the middle row of the table, 40% more gross income. Now take a look at the number of cycles for break even, or estimated ROI timeframe. Less than 2 flowering cycles. I know this ROI model is somewhat simplistic because it does not consider the other inputs that exist for the room, things like fertigation, labor, etc. You know what these costs are for your operation, and you can easily apply them to calculate what your ROI will be. The Fluence team would love to work through these numbers one-on-one with you. Please give us a call. The key takeaway is that you can increase your production output by 40% for the same canopy footprint. Growers have already been experiencing this with Fluence's retrofit solutions. Dave Holmes, our guest presenter for this webinar, is one of those growers who has experienced this at his facility. The results at Clade9 are incredible, and of course, these results were expected by Fluence's horticulture specialists working on this project. A few slides ago, I said I would talk a little bit more about utility incentive rebates. Most electrical utilities across North America provide rebates to incentivize growers to select efficient LED lighting technology. I've listed a few of the key rebate programs on your screen currently available in 2024. These are just a few. Most utilities offer some form of incentive rebate. Fluence is a unique horticulture lighting company in that we provide rebate services to growers like you. We know that your time is better spent on cultivating instead of processing paperwork and applications. And so Fluence will submit and monitor the application on your behalf to ensure a lucrative and a timely payout from your electrical utility. Our team of rebate experts work with utilities on a daily basis and are able to get you the most rebate money for your upgrade to LED technology. And so at this point in the webinar, we're going to have Taylor walk through some grower case studies and most specifically the Clade9 case study. Take it away, Taylor.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, everyone. Yeah, as mentioned earlier, I've been working with Fluence for over 3 years now. I'm a grower here in Texas. I have a hemp farm, craft hemp farm, and helped establish the research partnership with Fluence and Texas Original, where we do all of our indoor cannabis research. So the things that Chris touched on earlier are very near and dear to my heart. And, I have a lot of confidence going out and working with growers like Dave because of that research and the science that we put behind our products and the business plan. Thanks, Dave, for joining. I'm really excited to share with
Thanks for having
everyone
me.
your success. So we're gonna get to that here in a minute. I want to go ahead and share a couple of other grower case studies that we've had success with, and the first one's going to be a matched light intensity situation. This was a grower in the Midwest that actually wanted to reduce their energy use. They were expanding their facility, but they did have some power restrictions. And so they wanted to see if they could, and they were happy with their output. So they wanted to see if they could reduce their energy. And what was really impressive by this study was the fact that we did reduce, their energy use by 30%. But even though we maintained the same PPFD output, we were able to see some incredible yield results. Just from the light uniformity, the distribution uniformity, the spectrum, we see better quality typically. And this is a comparison of multiple strains that you're seeing here. The differences in total flower yield versus trim weight and the grams per watt are pretty staggering with the same light output and a 30% reduction of energy. Another one that we have is similar, but we were able to actually add light output while reducing energy with a 25% increase in PPFD and a 25% decrease in total watts used. Through both of those studies, more or less the other variables were kind of kept the same with the exception of temperature and humidity in the first study. And in the second one, the temperature was adjusted slightly. It's usually the case with growers that are first or second time working with them. They kind of want to do things their way and are afraid to make too many changes to the program. And we understand that, we're not coming in to try to change how you operate. But when we work with growers, we really encourage them to utilize some of the best practices that we've seen across multiple facilities across the globe. We're trying to help growers improve SOPs and really just partner with them for their success. So I'll highlight here, a similar outcome, across the board, which we would expect from the added light intensity, but pretty significant yield increases here as well, even though you're reducing your energy. And currently, we're using Viper to do this due to the kind of customized nature of a lower wattage fixture. Whereas with Dave, we use the Raptor, which is, as we discussed earlier, the ideal one for one wattage match retrofit option. So now, let's turn our focus to that with Dave. Thanks,
Hey,
Dave,
there we
again for
go.
joining,
Hey.
and I want to give you a minute to explain what Clade9 is to the attendees here.
Oh man, I love this slide. Thanks for putting it up. So for the growers who are on the call, I'm sure most of your growers, that look that I'm giving right there was a $3,000 price per pound in 2020. I don't have that look anymore. So, but yeah, so Clade9, we are a craft flower grower from Los Angeles. We have a 17,000 square foot indoor facility in LA. And then we're also launching a facility in New Jersey. I do consulting, kind of like an operational contract in Vegas as well. But I've been growing for 20 plus years, strictly HPS and flower until this conversion. So I'm one of those OG HPS growers that, is a little bit stubborn, and it took me a while to make the conversion, but this retrofit has been very eye-opening, and I am super excited to talk about the Fluence retrofit. So yes,
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
for sure, for sure. And before this retrofit of your flower room, you did have Fluence fixtures, and I wanted to highlight
Yep, that's right.
here in a little bit some of those rooms of propagation
Yeah.
and veg. We got
Yeah.
some pictures.
Yeah, I can clarify. So basically, when I say this is like the first time I've really grown with the LED, it's in flower. So, I've been using the Fluence RAZRs and the clone. I use the SPYDRs in the veg-room. And we've tested a little bit with LEDs, like 2012 or 11. I grew some like Chinese like UFO pink LEDs, way back, and they're awful. So like,
Yeah,
that was like my kind of touch with LED flower. But yeah, this was my first true LED trial in flower with like an HPS conversion.
right on, right on. And real quick, we'll just show kind of what this is your lighting design for flower rooms 2 through 4, which are identical, and they're 72 light HPS rooms that we converted with Raptor. With an average of 1,050 ppfd over the canopy, very uniform from front of the table to the back. It's hard to find much discrepancy in there with the actual measurements that I've taken and your team has taken, comparing this. We've even had our light designer that did this design for you come out and verify it as well. So we're really proud of that tool that we have to use with our customers.
Yep.
And then, yeah, let's move on. So your propagation room, you mentioned Razor.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the success you've had there and how you like to use those lights?
Yeah, I love the Razor because it's really kind of customizable. You could change the number of bars over, your section. So you might have like the earlier clone section have your 2 bar, then you could kind of, go up to 3 bar as they grow. And then you could also do 4 bars for like the R&D side. So if you look at our clone room, the right side is all production. So, it's 2 to 3 bars usually, depending on where they are in the cycle. And then on the left side, we do the 4 bars for like the R&D strains, stuff that's like from seed that we're cloning that we want to keep and just check it on, as like a phenotype hold or something. But, I think the Razor is great because it's dimmable, it's customizable, and you have a lot of flexibility in the clone room. You're kind of not just stuck with like one application. You could really play with the fixture and kind of do lots of different things from the clones to holding phenotypes. And then just like the dimmability is really nice because we like to boost our intensity as the clones, develop roots and get into kind of like a pre-veg.
For sure. And the spectrum is the same. So, sometimes
That's right.
a lot of growers are just used to, growing under, I don't know. There's other generic LEDs with a different spectrum, mostly nowadays. Obviously, we still have T5s out there in production. So
Yeah.
I think it really helps you to be able to start with the same spectrum that's consistently proven through our research to be ideal for cannabis production from the get-go. So you really don't have any shock in any transitional phase of growth. So that's awesome. You're
Yeah,
fully
the
taking
spectrum, I
advantage of
want to
that.
say like the spectrum is really nice. Like, better than I mean, I grew like T8s, T5s, since way back in the day. And definitely when you made the switch to LED and clone, you could tell a difference. We get really fast rooting rates. I think we're like, I mean, we're doing traditional clone with, kind of dome acclimation style in Rockwell, and we're getting close to 100% rooting within, 10 to 12 days. And these are cultivars that are old. I have like a Bubba from, 2006. So those slow rooters, they're a lot harder to root, but with the LEDs and kind of the process, they're fast. So great
Awesome.
fixtures in the LED.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and then that transitions to your veg room, which is a 2-tier. It's a beautiful space. It's always just really nice to walk in there and see the happy, healthy plants that you guys are growing and preparing there for the flower rooms.
Yep. Yep. The Spider 2X. Yeah, those are great fixtures. So our 2-tier LED room, we have like it's very, I think, a standard veg setup where you have a high density section, a low density section. So we have these 3 sections where the plants come in. In the 6-inch, we grow all in 6-inch Rockwell blocks. They're tight for about a week, and then we spread them out to the rest of the room, and then we start to crank up the intensity. But yeah, we've had great experience with the Spider 2X for sure.
Right on, right on. So this was taken February 23, and so a year ago, and
Yep.
that was when I came out for the first time. We'd been talking for a long time, you and I. We connected at PhotoX, which is Fluence's educational summit back in, I want to say 18 or something, in Chicago, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember
But
that. It was great.
I was always, a fan of yours and was like putting a bug in your ear that I would love to work with you one day. Let's get these flower rooms done. And so this is the dream, and this is what's happening here. This is flower room 4, with Tyler Kometko, the sales rep, and I visiting, and then where we are at today, with the Raptor in there. Pretty cool side by side picture there.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, yeah, for the project, we deployed all of our services, right? I mean, which we do for all of our customers. We have so many ancillary services that we provide you, not just a fixture, but we have field application engineers, Josh Morrow here from Fluence helping get everything commissioned. We used our wireless flex dimming, which is pretty unique, and he came out to make sure you guys had the app all set up and knew how to use it, and really haven't skipped a beat since with that. And then rolling into the grow, the actual,
Hey,
yeah, I mean,
we just harvested again, so we're number 2 right now.
yeah,
Actually,
just
we're
like last
this
week,
today.
right?
Yeah, we're gonna be loading that flower room again for the 3rd time. I think today's the reload day.
Okay, sick. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I got my dates off. Yeah, you harvested Monday.
that's right.
Sick.
Yeah.
Okay, so that retrofit process, can you kind of share a little bit about what that was like and what you did
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, well, there's my guys doing all the hard work. So my team is awesome, by the way. Cultivation
Yes.
manager Brendan and my prop manager Nick. They lead the team. We have about 6 to 8 guys, and they're just outstanding. So I just want to give them a huge shout out because they're the guys in the rooms like doing the real work every day. Pruning to trellising to just making sure all the plants are on point, dialing in the environment. So when we did the retrofit, ours is a 1-to-1 HPS to LED conversion, which for us was really simple. And because we can't really afford a big amount of downtime, we had 2 options to convert the room, right, to LED. We could have gone HPS to the Viper, which would have taken more time because we would need more fixtures. We'd have to kind of like potentially rewire a little bit because we have less outlets. But for us, we thought the Raptor was a really simple solution where we'd have less downtime because it's just a plug and play. And that's what we decided to do. And the guys knocked it out in, I think, a day. So like we usually harvest on Monday. Then we clean up the room on Tuesday, like the full kind of like, deep clean. And then we reload on Wednesday. So I think as we were cleaning on Tuesday, the guys started working on the retrofit, just taking out the HPS, putting in the Raptors, and this is with the rolling benches in the room, right? So it's a little bit cumbersome, and they still knocked it out. I'm pretty sure we loaded that room either late Wednesday or early Thursday. So no downtime basically whatsoever, and we did a full retrofit of lights. So it was awesome experience. And yeah, the guys they enjoyed, like, I mean, maybe not enjoyed like the heavy lifting, but once the room was done, they had very positive experience with like the new light and just the spectrum. It looked great. And you can see from the picture, right? Everyone that grows in HPS knows like it just, that yellow light doesn't look as nice as like a real full spectrum LED. The full spectrum LED feels more natural. So I just think there is a psychological component too. When you walk into a flower room, it just feels more natural, the light. And there's something to that, for sure,
For
just
sure.
like psychologically.
For sure. Yeah, I'm 100%. I mean, and even for things like scouting insects, it just makes the visible light that your eye is seeing in the color of the plants for nutrient deficiencies, maybe that you may be able to observe easier. Everything seems to be taken up a notch. And yeah, I wanted to send kudos to your team as well. I mean, they've just been amazing to work with, really kind of connected with several of them, and that was really my impression a year ago when I walked your facility for the first time and was thinking about this, working with you and your team on this. And I had a high degree of respect for you, and it shows in your leadership and with your team. So
Thank you.
that's what it
Appreciate
takes
it.
to really to take your business and your product to the next level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
um
I mean, the team is everything.
yeah. Yeah, and here's some pictures from your first flowering cycle. I mean, we really knocked it out of the park because we took that collaborative approach. Your team really took to some suggestions that I had and made a few little tweaks because we were growing under higher intensity than they had before. We saw a few different things, nutrient uptake requirements were slightly different, irrigation volume was a little different. And we also worked with like VPD and played within different ranges of higher temperature and humidity at different times, and cooler, drier conditions at other times to produce what you have here. It's just a beautiful product.
Yeah, no, it was really good to have um your support, especially you guys have been there, done that a bunch of times, right? This is like the first time we've ever done LED and flower. So obviously, yeah, there's differences like you mentioned. I think like the suggestion you made with like increasing the calcium, CalMag a little bit, definitely helped with like the OGs. So the OG growers out there, there's like OGs are finicky, right? And they're even more finicky when you're cranking them to 1100 ppfd.
For
So
sure.
we were able to make an adjustment with a little bit of CalMag. It really made a difference. So that was great. And just all those little nuances. I think when you're converting, I mean, this is a big investment, right? And
For sure.
weed is a tough business right now. Like pounds are at, $1,000, a pound for stuff that we were used to be, getting 3,000 for. I remember the moment where I got upset that someone was offering me 4,200 for a pound. That's how long I've been around. So like, so it's every little detail matters to stay
Yeah.
alive and to just keep going in cannabis because of the price compression and all the shit we have to go through. But point is that when you're when you invest in something like this, you want to make sure it's on point. And so like those little things that you helped us with, Taylor, they made a big difference. They might have seemed little, like increasing magnesium and calcium, doing a foliar application here, playing with like whatever, like the how you step up the light intensity, looking at leaf temperature, those things, they make big differences. So appreciate the support.
Oh, for sure, man. No, it's my pleasure. I really enjoy my role and what I do for Fluence. It's fun to work with growers and collaborate. And some people that have been in the game like as long as we have would call themselves master growers, but I call myself a master student and collaborator. I just want to always better myself and those people around me. But
Definitely.
let's move on and cover the data. This is something that everyone's going to want to see and really they're probably not going to believe, but I want them to hear it from you.
Yeah, with the yields were, I mean, blew it out the park totally. So we were hitting like, like it says our average is about 165, and that's changed over time with cultivars, you know. I think the cultivars that we're running now were a little bit lower yielding than what we ran, you know, 2 years ago. Just because quality is so important in California right now, and like they're very strain specific to what the demand is on the street. It's, you know, so you just know what you got to grow, right, to survive. But that same room, you know, we hit about 165, you know, with the HPS. The very first run with the Raptors, 281 pounds, like it 120 extra pounds. So it blew us away in terms of the yield. And you could see like the strain by strain kind of breakdown. You know, the private reserve, that's an OG. It's like an old school true OG Kush, very sensitive to light. And we were running at 1100 ppfd with some adjustments with the environment, like Taylor mentioned, kind of the CalMag and some maybe irrigation tweaks. 74 grams per square foot with an OG Kush, and it came out really nice. Like the quality was phenomenal across the board as well. So I mean, 100 extra pounds per room. You know, we're talking like one harvest, you paid for the fixtures. And I know you guys showed some data on it's about 1.5, you know, maybe 1.5 harvests. Like
Yeah.
that's for sure. I mean, look at the data, there's no question about it. Our diamond bar damn near hit 100 grams a square foot, and it came out really nice. So I mean, there are differences for sure in like the HPS flower versus the LED flower, but I think the quality is still right on point. There's just it just maybe the look is different. So that was, you know, one thing that you have to consider. You know, like they look a little different. The density is going to be higher. You're pumping way more ppfds, right? But overall quality is just as good. Our COAs were the same. Like our, you know, orange push pop that hits 30% THC with HPS was also hitting 30 with the LED. So really similar COAs across the board with terpenes and cannabinoids. So that was exciting because, you know, you
Yeah.
just never know. You do a full conversion, you're like, fuck, what's going to happen? Am I going to like my THC going to drop? Is like the flower going to look way different? Is it going to be shitty quality? And, you know, luckily all of those things didn't happen. Everything was very, very similar in terms of quality. The COAs are really similar. And in a lot of cases, it just really depends on the person. But I think many people thought that the quality is higher with the LED. And I think it was a great experience. So yeah, we're looking forward to the data for room 2.
Yeah, me too. And I apologize, man. I actually had your potency data, but it's not here on the slide. And but I'm glad you
Yeah,
touched
it,
on that
it was
because
very, yeah, it's very similar across the board. I mean,
yeah, yeah. But we didn't see anything that dropped, you know, it was always
yeah.
consistent or slightly higher. I mean, most of your strains are in the upper 20s to low 30s on the THC, total THC, from
Yeah.
what I'm,
Hold
you
on one
know.
second. I gotta yell. There's a dog growling in my office. Give me a second.
Love it. We yeah, we
It's a vicious chihuahua. I gotta stop her.
That's hilarious. Love it. Well, thanks for sharing. And yeah, I look forward to getting those next results and just continuing sharing your story with the rest of the Fluence family. It's been a fun journey for me to work with you and the team, like I said. And yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and see if anyone has some questions here in a minute for you. And just wanted to kind of bring a close to our webinar and just remind everyone just kind of a few key takeaways, right? So at Fluence, you know, we offer several options for your retrofit. We customize your facility design to meet your needs. And it is a capital expense. We understand that, but it's an economical solution when you can increase your bottom line and see that return and pay for the lights in a very quick manner. And then, you know, we're here to help you. We have a great team. It's going to support you. We're not going to just sell you a fixture and tell you good luck. So with that, we definitely want to bring on some questions. I think Tim has some in the Q&A in the chat that we're going to address. Bring them on if you've got them. Please don't
Definitely. Good
hesitate.
job, guys. Really amazing story from Dave. Appreciate the time, of course. I'll remind everybody there's still time for Q&A if you want to drop your questions. There is a button probably right in the middle top of your screen where you can drop a question. We have a couple here. I thought this first one was a good one, probably for you, Chris. It says, are there any different disinfectants that you recommend when doing, when cleaning the fixtures, specifically that avoids deteriorating any of the materials used in the fixtures?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for that question. So Fluence has a resources area on our web page. If you go there and go to Support Center, there's a large frequently asked questions area there. And how do I clean my Fluence fixture is one of them. In general, we recommend soap and water, something gentle. Fluence's fixtures are designed in such a way that they do not accumulate matter. I mean, there's always going to be some matter that will accumulate on a fixture, but they're specifically designed to shed any matter in the environment. But you will get things that attach to the fixture and attach themselves to the fixture, and just a gentle wipe down with soap and water, and then a gentle spray down. You're good to go for the next cycle.
Excellent. Yeah, I thought this was a good question here too. Dave, I think you said you did that first room in about a day, the swap out, and really
Yep.
probably didn't take any, put you behind maybe a day on your normal flip of that room. Taylor, is that common? Chris, I mean, is that what growers should expect?
Yeah, I mean, if you're using Raptor, and depending on the size of the room, of course, we've definitely retrofitted some, 200 plus light rooms that are massive, and that's a big feat for a day. But it is quick, right? And it's a plug and
Yep.
play process with Raptor. But if you select like Viper, as another option for your retrofit, again, we can offer some flexibility in the design. That's where we're going to see opportunities to save energy, but it's going to require a slightly different lighting layout than your HPS, typically. The way we lay those out for the ideal uniformity and design of that form factor of that fixture. So that can
Sure.
take longer.
Very good. Dave, you mentioned the team. I'm curious, how has the team responded, not just to the change in light quality in the room and working in the room, but like what were their reactions once they're seeing these yields that are coming out of the room? Are they blown away, or were they expecting
They were
that?
excited. Yeah, no, they weren't weren't expecting it, I don't think, and they were really excited. A lot of the cultivators on my team are also consumers, so they were excited about trying the flower. But just working with flower, I think everyone's a real passionate flower person on my team. So I would say it's my favorite room to walk into now in flower, and I could say that most of the team as well feels that way. But I think because of the spectrum and just the fixtures just look really sleek. I think it's like they're kind of sexy looking. The room itself, it just looks a little more high tech too. So all of those things I think make that the favorite room of most of the cultivators, except for maybe on prune days when you have a little more biomass to work with, right? But
Yeah,
other than that, yeah, no, the look of the room is fantastic, and everyone was very impressed with what they saw.
excellent. Let's see what else we have here. Taylor, you just mentioned Raptor versus Viper, and I think Chris had a slide in the first part of the presentation that kind of highlighted those two fixtures. Is there one that's more ideal for retrofit, or is it, one size fits all? Like, hey, this grower is going to use Viper all the time, or this other grower is going to always use Raptor. Is there a yeah, there we go. I think there was one more slide back, but um,
Yeah, Tim, I can take that one.
for sure.
It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to work that flower room or that flower space a bit harder, and try to eke out more yield, Raptor for sure is going to be the easiest to implement, because you can easily drop out 1,000-watt HPS, put up 1,000-watt LED, and you're rocking. You barely affect your downtime. With Viper, that one tends to be a little more of the choice for people who are trying to save energy. So that They don't want to change their output. They don't want to increase their yield, but want to keep a room producing at the same rate, but want to save energy because that's affecting their OpEx numbers. And so Viper is perfect for that because you can replace, for the most part, one HPS with one 600-watt Viper. Sometimes we need to add a few other fixtures just to keep uniformity, but that's a good rule of thumb. There's also sometimes with utility rebates where we can take advantage of the way the rebate program is written, where adding more fixtures into a room is actually better from a rebate perspective. And so we'll, as a team with you as a grower, look over all of that and recommend what's best for rebate, best for production. But hands down, 1-for-1 with Raptor is going to be the easiest and is going to yield the most gross revenue just because of that uplift of light and then uplift of bud dry weight.
Makes sense. Yeah. This one just came into chat. It says even though this was a one-to-one replacement with Clade9, did you see HVAC having an easier job handling those rooms, or did you have to increase anything like your dehume practices or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think in the beginning, obviously the heat load is less, so it was. I mean, our HVAC was designed well, so it spec'd out to have a little bit of extra coverage, but it didn't miss a beat. So with the conversion, there was no issues with our HVAC. Although the last week or two, what we do is we cool the room, and then when we cool the room, because there's no extra load from the lighting with HPS, you'd have a little more heat. Then there was a little bit of a humidity issue. So I would recommend, there is going to be some potential extra dehumidification needed for the last couple of weeks of flower that we haven't installed yet, but it's something that we would like to do. So that would be one thing. And it really just depends on how your HVAC system was designed in the first place. If it was designed with a little more overage to cover, like changes, then potentially you get away without it. It's kind of going to be case by case. But if your system is doing fine with the HPS and you convert, and you're also doing a cool down at the end, then yeah, you might want to add some dehumidification.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Anything to add to that, Taylor?
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a great point. And that's what we normally see in these wattage match scenarios where we're pushing the plants harder with higher light intensity. That's not always, and that may be one of the factors that comes into play in your decision as you consider retrofitting and which is the better fit, right? The lower wattage, solution or a wattage match.
Very good. A couple of rebate questions in chat. I'll kind of stage this both at the same time. So, Chris, you lead the rebate services team. Is there a cost to use that service with Fluence, and how would you know if you're eligible for that as a prospective buyer?
Sure. Yeah. Again, as I said earlier, Fluence is a unique horticulture lighting company in that we have our own in-house rebate talent. It's something that we will completely manage and help you and assist you with that rebate application start to finish. It's something that comes free with the lights. Fluence is we're a services first type of organization, customer first, services first. We want to make sure that we minimize the distractions that you may have in your grow. And so rebate is one of those. And so we will do that free of charge for you. And so what we'll do is when you're first investigating whether or not you want to retrofit, we'll work with you to do a pre-approval with your utility. We'll do the investigation with them. Quite often, we already know on day one what you are most likely eligible for rebate, but then we'll continue to work with you to see if we can find some more money for the rebate. And we'll work with you every step of the way. We'll get that pre-approval in, and then you can move forward with confidence with what you need to raise for capital.
Excellent. And I think we have time for maybe one more question here, and maybe I'll even try to tackle this one if you guys don't mind. It says, "What's the next step for me if I'm looking to retrofit my flower rooms for LED? Who do I call?" So we have that information kind of up there on the screen at the moment. Our presenters, Chris's contact information, Taylor's contact info is up there. Obviously, you can get to their LinkedIn or contact them through here, but maybe the most appropriate way would be to do that through the Fluence website. So there's a link down there. The URL is www.fluence-led.com. There's a contact form there, and you can always email support@fluence-led.com, and one of our team members will reach back out to you. And of course, if you guys have any more questions, when I say you guys, I mean people listening at home. After this session or later this afternoon, you should be getting a follow-up email thanking you for participating today. And there should be links there to get back in contact with the team should you want to reach out. And I will leave that as a good stopping point. Guys, any final thoughts as we depart? Or are we good?
If I can, please connect with us. We'd love to explore retrofitting with you, even if it's just a conversation and we part ways. But we think you're gonna see the benefits. We hope we've shown you those benefits. But conversations are free. So let's talk. Let's see what we can come up with, and you'll be able to see the benefits that Dave has talked about today and what he's experiencing firsthand. We'd love to do the same for each of you.
Excellent. Dave,
Yeah.
again, thanks for your time. I know
Yeah,
your day
definitely.
is always
Thanks for having
busy,
me.
so
Yeah.
appreciate it. And for everybody else, we hope to be doing more of these webinars in 2024. So keep an eye on social and your email, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Hey, guys. Bye-bye.